Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of F1 Career Mode here on the channel. Hope you're all having a great day. Today we have a high-speed episode on the way here from Monza for the Italian Grand Prix, as we are coming off of a bit of controversy last episode in Zandvoort under the safety car with our teammate of Alex Albon and inter-team communications with Williams, which led to a meeting after the Grand Prix. Let's take a listen as we head into the weekend.
I owe you an apology, Gary. That was all our fault, and Alex couldn't do anything there. He had zero grip. That is on us for keeping him out there.
I mean, I just don't get how we make a mistake that bad. I mean, when you obviously pit me, it's just silly. But I mean, let's move on.
Let's have a good weekend. Then maybe we can also talk about your plans for next year.
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
So, you heard everything said right there. Take it for what you will as we now focus forward there after, of course, things, where I was pretty upset with Alex Albon and as well not very impressed with the team itself when they didn't pit Albon for an intermediate compound tire. They pit us for the intermediates, but we couldn't pass Albon. We were stuck behind him, and of course it eliminated our chance at scoring any points at all when we could have scored probably a top 5 result if we would have been up to the back of the grid when we went racing, which we would have been to the back of the grid if we were able to get past Alex Albon. So certainly a frustrating situation all around. We have to move forward. We are still in a tight constructors battle with Kick Sauber as well as the V-Carb team, so we need to focus in on that, and we're in a rookie battle with Devin Butler that's continuing on, and we're in a point battle in the driver's standings with our own teammate of Alex Albon as we come into this weekend. And I expect our Williams to be a bit stronger than usual here this weekend and as well next weekend in Azerbaijan, because although in the R&D we have been pretty steady in the midfield, a little bit lower in the midfield, this is a high-speed track where our Williams seems to prevail at a high-speed circuit, so I think we're going to be looking pretty good and fighting for potential points today as well as next time out in Baku. We come through into Q1. Q1's been a bit of a shaky one for me as of late. We've been kind of making mistakes in our opening lap, and then we have to use another set of fresh tires and make up for it in the second lap, and that puts us into Q2, and then we don't have another set of freshies to use, so we're just down to one fresh set of soft tires to use in Q2, so it's kind of a back against wall, and there's a mistake right there. I had to back out of the throttle, and that would cost me quite a bit of lap time as we roll through the final turn down the front straightaway, and it's not going to be great. It's not going to be terrible. We do beat some drivers, including Ricardo, who continues to struggle over at V-Carb. His time in Formula 1 could be coming to an end. My second lap making a bit of a mistake, but actually got a tow from my teammate of Alex Albon, so making up maybe a bit for what happened in Zandvoort. Thank you, Alex, as we would focus in on the continuation of this second lap in Q1, and we would find a bunch of time out of that chicane as expected since we had to lift there in the first lap. We find 3/10 overall. That puts us P10 at the end of Q1. It puts us through. Albon ends up 10th. I end up P12. Both the Williams get through as Ocon, Tsunoda, Hulkenberg, Stroll, and Alonso. Look at this. Stroll and Alonso, both Aston Martins out. I can confirm Fernando actually had an accident, so he never got to run a full lap, and Stroll, not quite sure what was going on there, obviously slow, so not a good start to the weekend for Aston Martin. It's going to be a long road forward. Into Q2, we got one set of fresh tires for the softs, so we'll see what we can do. It's basically a one and done type of lap here in the session, and it wasn't a great lap. It wasn't terrible. Once again, we've been struggling to just find enough consistency over the hot laps in this Williams to put in, just what I would consider a banger lap, basically, as we round the final turn down this front straightaway. It is what it is at this point. Albon currently top 10. We go P12 while he is P10 at the end, though. Albon's the first one out as the Sauber kick of Bottas gets in, but it's going to be P11 and P13 for myself, Alex Albon, Casper Ackerman, and Daniel Ricciardo there, 14th and 15th. Let's head to the grid, Sunday afternoon, ready for the Italian Grand Prix.
A difficult race awaits these drivers here in Monza, but glory awaits too at the Italian Grand Prix. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Sainz, Perez, Hamilton, Norris, Oscar Piastri, Gasly, Bottas, Albon, Butler, Golden Boy, Ackerman, Ricciardo, Ocon, Tsunoda, Hulkenberg, Fernando Alonso, and Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. And now it's time to head down to the track.
We're racing on the mediums here to start. Switching over to the hards, no threat of inclement weather on the way, so gonna be a nice dry race here, unlike what we saw, of course, with the curveball of rain last episode in Zandvoort at the Dutch Grand Prix. Let's get ready to go lights out in Monza.
The formation lap gets underway and every driver will be looking to settle in for the race ahead, making sure that their car is ready for the battle once the lights go out.
It's been an up and down season for Ferrari, but they look to go to the top here today in their home Grand Prix with Leclerc starting P2.
As the cars make their way back to the starting grid to form up and get ready for lights out, let's hope the race ahead today is a thrilling one that will go down as a memorable Grand Prix in the history books.
Right, guys, a couple of frustrating weeks here recently, but I don't see why we can't bounce back today. Our Williams is fast. Let's show it.
Love the confidence, mate. Be smart here. It could get a bit wild today.
So we're ready to go. Just outside of the top 10, the two Aston Martins, Fernando Alonso, Lance Stroll round up to the back of the grid. Meanwhile, Max Verstappen, who kind of took back control and extended that World Championship lead over the last few rounds, out in front here in Monza as Russell tries to find some points against him. It's going to be lights out. We're racing here from the Italian Grand Prix. A great launch off the grid. We'll get ahead of Butler alongside our teammate of Albon, and right to the back of the kick Sauber. Bottas, who covers us off now. Russell into turn one. Has he John Verstappen, who fights back alongside Axel to Axel side by side. Great racing right off the bat here. They'll drag race on the exit of the chicane. The two Ferraris, Leclerc and Sainz. Same situation as now Verstappen comes out on top, and Leclerc comes out on top over his Ferrari teammate of Carlos Sainz. The McLaren's is going to be Oscar Piastri getting the upper edge of that one now, as we'll all come through this first higher speed chicane, you'll call it now. Second chicane, of course, on the actual circuit. We maintain P13, so we didn't really go anywhere. Now actually had a great launch, but the right lane really backed up into turn one, and the cars on the left kind of went by, including Albon, as well as Casper Ackerman. I got my Rookie of the Year contender behind myself of Devin Butler. Sainz putting the fight to Leclerc into the chicane, and oh, he goes a bit wide, slows them both up. The two cars up front, Verstappen and Russell, they love what they see because they're immediately going to be able to run away, and here comes Lewis Hamilton. He got his first win in nearly 2 years, or over 2 years last episode in the Dutch Grand Prix. Now is around the outside. Can Leclerc make it stick? I don't know. It's going to be close, as these two are really backing up everybody in the front two. Love it because they're long gone and out of DRS range. Look at this absolute mess. Now we've got 6, 7, 8 cars plus, all under a blanket on the run into turn number one. Look at the view. I thought they were about to go 4 wide. Piastri going after it 3 wide with Hamilton. Sainz, Piastri through 1 and 2. Major contact there. I don't think anybody got damaged somehow. Piastri through into P3, the Australian, the Monaco Grand Prix winner from earlier this season, getting the elbows out. How well can that McLaren hold on though now, as Hamilton's going to settle into P4 just behind Piastri, as now I'm going to make a big lunge up the inside of Valtteri Bottas. Now everyone's stacked up into the chicane because there's so many cars right there under a blanket, and I was able to pounce on it now as we continue on into the now 11th position as we approach the end of lap 2. Here comes that kick Sauber back at us, however, at the conclusion of this second lap into the final turn. Can we make it stick? No. Bottas takes the position back. Actually a bit of a wobble there, but he would stay ahead briefly until the front straightaway. We would actually fight back alongside him in towards turn number 1. We'll get back out in front of that kick Sauber. So back into P11. Look at the stack up in front of us. Butler as well, sending it up the inside of Valtteri Bottas. Now Devin Butler, he has had a few rough Grand Prix recently, kind of like myself. Things haven't quite worked out for us. Of course, we had a mechanical failure for the second time in our rookie season in Spa with a gearbox failure. Not pretty. Hopefully we can avoid any gearbox failure or any kind of failure today, really. That would be ideal. as we come through now to lap number 4. Verstappen, Russell, they have run away. They are just basically swapping the lead back and forth, nearly into the back of the Frenchman of Gasly. Norris is side by side with Alex Albon. Not a great race so far for Norris. Albon's trying to continue to move his way forward. I'm trying to put both of these Williams cars inside the points now as we're sweeping back left and right now, wheel to wheel, with Gasly on the run into the chicane. Who's going to back out? None of us are going to back out. Norris, yes, a lock up there it looks like. Missed the apex. We all got through without any issues. P9, P10 for Williams. Now what a start here in this race. We knew we were going to have some good straight line pace here now as we head down this front straightaway. Albon in front of Lando Norris. Here comes Gasly in that Alpine, who's been really consistently improving their car in recent episodes. Well, they have got a car now fighting in the points. Gasly goes through on myself into turn 1. I'm just trying to be smart here. We have a long race now, over 20 laps to go. I mean, I'm not going to really force too many battles at this point in the Grand Prix. Now, we're only on lap 6 of 27, so just waiting for the right opportunities. Our pit window opens on lap 13, so we'll be boxing for that set of hards, and then, of course, we will be going to the end of the Grand Prix from that point on. As you can see, Norris has gotten back out in front of Albon and was trying to drive away, but with the DRS, the way it works here in Monza, it's just so hard to get away if you can't before, of course, that DRS zone. And there you see Albon's going to breeze past Norris and bring Gasly with him. They both get past. Albon throwing a bit of a block actually there on Pierre Gasly into turn 1, but he would get alongside anyways, the Williams teammate of mine. But you see Gasly there get alongside Albon, and they aren't quite done yet, and I'm not done either, putting the fight to Lando Norris, who's really getting caught off guard here today. He has been finding himself in battles with Williams a few times this season. I think back to Monaco, but he lunges it up the inside. I backed out of it early, and Lando took full advantage of that. So, I mean, really just, I guess you could say, caught me napping a little bit now as we come through to lap 7 towards lap 8. And Gasly settling in behind Albon, but he's going to have a prime opportunity on this front straightaway to breeze past him, and so will Lando Norris potentially. Gasly's going to get him on the run into turn 1. There goes Lando Norris as well. They're wheel to wheel into this first chicane. You can see a lot of side-by-side up in front of us as well. Sergio Perez struggling. He's been going backwards. He is, of course, had an interesting season. He's got a couple of wins, but unfortunately, he's been really falling off for Red Bull, and that's putting them under threat in the Constructors' Championship. So it's going to be interesting to watch how that materializes throughout the course of this season. Now, as look at this mess. I mean, we're going down to 37 miles per hour because everyone's so stacked up. Gasly's now up in towards the top 5. What a drive there from the Frenchman. We continue on behind our teammate of Alex Albon on this 9th lap. You look on the track map. Actually, how about Lewis Hamilton? He has gotten away from the DRS mess and is actually reeling in both his teammate of George Russell and Max Verstappen. However, Verstappen has broken out of the DRS of his Mercedes rival in the championship. George Russell, yellow flags behind, and his fellow Canadian. It's Lance Stroll for Aston Martin. It's been a bit of a disaster weekend, and it gets worse because now one of the cars is out and he's blocking the other car of Alonso. Meanwhile, we have another just situation where everyone's under a blanket right here, and this is gonna get spicy over the next couple of laps, I reckon. Now look at the mess up in front of us, Albon and myself. I mean, all we can do is watch. What do we do? Here comes, oh my goodness, Devin Butler lunged one around the outside of us into turn number 1. We continue wheel to wheel, and we stay ahead of the British driver now and focus in on trying to get into that top 10 over Alex Albon. I'm not going to be cutting Alex too many breaks here, of course, after what happened in Zandvoort. We had the conversation, the team meeting, but that doesn't really change much for myself. And look at this now. Perez signs wheel to wheel into the final turn. I'm gonna lunge it around the outside. Will it stick? Yes, it will. Here we go towards the DRS. This is going to get interesting, to say the least. Perez has done. Norris gonna breeze past. Myself and Albon using our high-speed Mercedes engine to get past several cars on the run into turn 1, and we're gonna be 3 wide into the first turn, just about. But Norris is able to stay ahead. We're side by side with our Thai teammate now as we continue wheel to wheel. We slide on the exit of turn 1. Albon hangs on. P8, P9 for Williams. What a drive we're having so far, but still 17 laps of racing to go. This is far from over, and watch this, lap 11 coming to 12. Same situation we've seen. Cars under a blanket coming into the DRS. We're going to blow the doors off of Albon, but here comes Sergio Perez to fight back as well on my left side into turn 1. He's going to get alongside my front axle now through this first couple of corners. Now look at this right here. I actually can leave a car widths of room in a side-by-side battle in Formula 1. About 3/4 of the grid could never do that in real life. Of course, this is a video game, a lot easier to do that for myself. Now, as you see, is struggling a little bit to hit an apex now, and that's actually going to allow Perez to pounce, so he well breezed past me. We dropped down to P9, but still both Williams in the top 10 as we approach lap 13, our pit window lap. Now we slide, we save it there, and we almost lose it again. Albon, he'll go through, and Sainz as well. He is going to have a run on the way towards turn number 1. This one we're going to fight though, as Albon's going to now lunge to the left side of Perez, and he might clear him. Nope. Perez is going to get back right up alongside him into turn 1. We should be able to clear Sainz right here on the exit of turn 2. Yes, we will. Into P10 again as we continue to just shuffle positions. And I mean, here we go. Later on lap 13, we are pitting this lap. We're going to be able to get this DRS and get past our teammate of Albon. Meanwhile, Max Verstappen has opened up the gap to both the Mercedes. He's pitting now from the lead position. Mediums to hards. Hamilton's coming into the pits. He has to wait, actually. The Dutchman does a little bit longer as Hamilton would go through. We come into the pits as well, don't speed, 50 miles per hour, and we come in at 46, as we did give up a little bit of time. Definitely gave up some time there on the pit entry. Nonetheless, we'll come in, get these mediums off, throw on that hard compound tire, and get ready for what I would say the final half, basically, of this Italian Grand Prix. It's not been a great home race for Ferrari, that's for sure, not what they wanted, to say the least, but still some time to go. Things can change, safety cars could happen. We don't really know exactly yet, but there is always those possibilities. We rejoin just in front of Esteban Ocon here in the Alpine. Now we'll see what that Alpine can do. At the end of the lap, Max Verstappen is going to pass everybody else that's pitting, including George Russell, and actually I think Hamilton's going to come out in front of Russell, so I think the Mercedes are going to swap. Yes, they will. Hamilton easily in front of George Russell. Piastri, Gasly currently in 5th, but he's going to continue to drop as he was just exiting the pits. Meanwhile, as that was all happening, Esteban Ocon, a straightaway before, is going to get past us on the run towards that final turn. However, we are going to have DRS coming up right here. That should allow myself to carry ourselves back in front of the Alpine. Here we go, and cars exiting the pits, including my teammate of Albon, Carlos Sainz, and Sergio Perez. Now we get past Ocon. We're going to be wheel to wheel, dead even just about with Perez at turn 1's apex. We get clear into P8, but we know that Red Bull, of course, way faster than myself. It's not going to be much of a contest, and actually on the run towards the next chicane, he was already in position to do exactly that. He is going to get past us. So we'll settle in P9 as we continue to work on it now. Lap 16, and Carlos Sainz, P10, Esteban Ocon, P11, our teammate of Alex Albon, just a little bit further back here now. But we've put ourselves in good position coming in towards the closing 10 laps of this Grand Prix as Max Verstappen continues to drive away over Hamilton and George Russell. And again, just like Spa, we've got a gearbox failure, and that's going to be our second mechanical failure in 3 races.
I don't even know what to say. Gearbox is gone. Race over, guys. Sorry.
Sorry, Gary. That was a great drive you had going there. We need to work on our reliability.
So, unfortunate end, and yeah, 3 mechanical failures on the season, 2 in the last 2 episodes, and 2 in the last 3 races. We made it just past halfway here today. Max Verstappen ends up on top and extends his championship lead, of course, over George Russell. And the constructors is going to be interesting because both Mercedes on the podium, they definitely make a little bit of a gain, but I think Ferrari loses out overall to Red Bull here today. But Verstappen, of course, eyeing down that 4th World Championship, and just like in Sebastian Vettel fashion at Red Bull all those years ago, 4th consecutive World Drivers' Championship. Now, there's still enough races for things to swing, but I really doubt that's going to happen. It seems like Verstappen's found his stride here after that contact with Russell in Hungary, picking up that damage. He seems to just have a bit of a new fire kind of under him. So Hamilton P2, Russell, Piastri, Leclerc, your top 5. How about Gasly P7, and both Alpines in the top 10? They are really on a roll here as of recent. Albon ends up P11, so no points for Williams. Alonso rebounded to P12. Verstappen extends to 62 points on Russell. Leclerc a few points back, and Sainz a few points back from those two as well, as Perez down in P5. Hamilton about to pass him, and the constructors, Red Bull now ahead by 58 and 69 over Ferrari and Mercedes. Alpine continues to make some gains. As we head into Azerbaijan next episode, we hope for a bit of a bounce back and some reliability in our car. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.